You know what? There are so many reasons to be excited and optimistic about our future. So many cracks of light in our world right now. People who are out there courageously blazing new trails and leading the way towards a world where people, planet, and profit collectively thrive. I want you to hear their ideas and let them inspire you to see this time we're in as a fascinating time of transformation. Welcome to the Cracks of Light podcast. I am your host, Laura Storm. Throughout this podcast series, we will co-create a leadership manifesto for a thriving world. Please feel free to join us by going to my website, www.laura-storm.com. Hi, first I want to say that it's been a while since I launched an episode of the Cracks of Light podcast because I've been deeply immersed in the launch and creation of my new organization called Regenerators. And Regenerators is all about regenerative living, leading organizations, systems, structures, cities, how we basically help a new thriving paradigm emerge that is based on principles of life instead of destructive principles that is causing a havoc on our social, emotional, and ecosystem. So we work with designers and leaders and entrepreneurs on integrating regenerative principles into their design and leadership and way of living life. And that can be anything from biomimicry to leadership practices that is cultivating well-being and creativity at the workplace to circular economy and self-organizing, thriving organizations. And you can see more on our website, regenerators.co. And Regenerators launched in February, which was the same time I was having the conversation that you're about to listen to now with the amazing millennial leader Peta Keller, who at the time had just launched her world-changing book, Earth is Hiring, A New Way to Live, Lead, Earn, and Give. And I came across Peter about a year and a half ago, searching actually for domain names for a new site that I was thinking about at the time. And I came around this new site because I was searching for whether the domain name New Way was available, and it was not because Peter was already there. And I got fascinated by her approach and started following her on Instagram. And she's quite a fascinating lady, deeply committed to the same kind of change that I am. So really check her out on Instagram. She's amazing. And you will hear all about why she's amazing in a few seconds. So everything just resonated deeply, and she is 100% committed to creating a new thriving paradigm, just as I am. And Peter truly believes that we can eradicate poverty and redesign for sustainability as all the solutions are there. Money is there, the wisdom and intelligence is there. And in this episode, we explore how we can all take small steps to help bring forth a new thriving paradigm. How to live in alignment with your soul's calling. Why play is so powerful. What is so special about the millennial generation, and why your vibration is key. Energy that you bring into a room, and what success really means, and so much more. I can promise you will be excited about the future. So let's start. Peter, I am so excited to have you on the Cracks of Light podcast today. What I am eager and excited about delivering to my audience of seasoned business leaders and impact entrepreneurs is your definition of the new way to live, lead, earn, and give. Could you give us a summary of what the new is all about?
I think firstly, it's important to note that the new way isn't so new. Even just thinking about things I wrote about in my book, so much of it is like ancient tribal wisdom made fresh and relevant again. I don't like it's so new. It's just, how can we go back and bring that now? Like, how can we bring ancient tribal like understandings, philosophies, principles, and ways back into this new, fresh, modern, high-tech, beautiful world? So I always like to preface with that. The new way to live, lead, earn, and give, for me, it's all about, the underlying principle is all about raising the vibration. And we have no trouble with action. I mean, for the most part, we understand we need to be doing things more sustainably, adding social causes to our companies, taking better care of our earth. All this change that we're striving for, whether it's eradicating homelessness, moving to sustainable energy, like we could go on and on and on. But we understand that that's very action-based. Like we understand that there's certain actions we need to take to fulfill those goals, to change the world, in quotes. But I feel like where we sometimes forget, and it's super important, is that our vibration is so important as well for living in harmony with each other and the earth. So for me, the underpinning message in the new way to live, lead, earn, and give is that our action is critical for taking our turn to change the world and succeeding in all of these endeavors to make things better, more sustainable, more people in the world thrive. But we can never do it at the mercy of our vibration. So for me, our upgraded action and our upgraded vibration is how we're going to live in harmony with Mother Earth and each other. Because for me, Mother Earth is vibrating. Just, I don't know about you, but I get a little frustrated when people say, we're here to, I've got to save the earth. I've got to save the planet. No, you don't. Like, it's crazy for us to think that like we need to save her. Like she is a beast. Like she is the most phenomenal, majestic entity ever. And we talk about it like we need to stoop down and save her. And we don't need to stoop down and save her. We don't need to lower our vibration, go down and get her. We need to rise up and meet her where she is energetically. And we will know change. We will know harmony with her. We will know harmony with each other when we can get on an energetic level and an energetic vibration, energetic postcode, more like hers.
What do you mean when you talk about vibration? If I were a 60-year-old executive, maybe I would be a bit kind of, what does she talk about when she talk about raising my vibration? What is that about?
Like your energy. What's your energy like? How are you feeling? What are you like taking care of the invisible elements of our lives? So how are we feeling? Where's our compassion at? Where's our energy at? Are we playing? How are we feeling? Like, are we in alignment? What's our energy saying to the world? Because our energy is impacting the world. So for instance, play. Play is such a powerful way to raise our vibration and to easily access solutions and creativity and ideas that we can't access when we're just in the grind all day long, same routine, in and out, in and out. We've got to circulate this energy and allow newness in. And that's just one example of how to get like energetically closer to Mother Earth. Even just like I talk a lot about living in alignment, like doing things we don't want to do is one way to lower vibration. And if you want to think in broad terms, it's like, how are we thriving? Like, are we thriving? Am I feeling good in what I'm doing today? Like, if my energy was a text message to the world right now, and if my energy was directly impacting the world right now, what would my energy be doing? Like, it's not all about the do. It's not all about the production. It's not all about the outcomes and the results. Yeah, that's important, but our energy matters to the world.
How do you know if you're in misalignment?
I mean, you can feel it. So for me, it's all about like when we're in alignment, where it feels like we're living in a tap. We've got our tap on. We are clear. We have our life force on. We're clear and able to access our creativity, our insights, and our solutions. And I think of it like a hose. When we are not in alignment, it's like we feel like our hose is a little bit kinked. When you have a garden hose and you kink it, it's like the life force is blocked and we can't get the energy through. And we're kinking our hose a lot of the time through misaligned business partnerships, misaligned practices, misaligned methods that don't feel good anymore. And when we can really focus on alignment, which takes courage, and it really does, then we can access more of the life force and raise our vibration.
Peta, I would really like to know, because you are one of the greatest millennial thought leaders.
Oh.
Can you explain to us how millennials are different than the current leadership of the world, or those people that are currently in most leadership positions?
Yeah, and I love this question, Laura, because millennials are like, I have a deep love for what's at the heart of the millennial generation. And for me, millennials are very often misunderstood, super analyzed. So, I mean, there's no one who's more studied than millennials on earth, right? But what I want the world to realize is that we are just taking our turn like every generation does. And we are doing what we know to be right and true with the equipment that we were given. And I feel like every generation is given slightly different equipment to respond to the world around us because the population is growing so fast. We were born with what I call like a divine intolerance to anything which is not going to support the world we know we're here to create. This is why we're so big on supporting sustainable companies and creating sustainable companies, because we are born with a divine intolerance for anything that is going to make our planet worse for our children. This is why we're so big on adding social causes to our companies. I call it a divine intolerance. It's our attitude on behalf of the earth. When millennials want better working environments and work from home policies and to be able to wear what they want to work and there's beanbags in their offices, it's not because they're trying to be selfish and brats. It's because we know we are here to be a more thriving collective for our children and for the planet. And so we know that workaholism is not the way for us. And we are not here to give that to our children. We are here to change that story and to thrive more in our work. And again, that's why 95% of millennials don't want to work for a company that puts profit before purpose. Like, this is what's important to us because we were gifted with different equipment in our DNA, which makes us unable to tolerate anything, systems, standards, old models, which doesn't mean they were wrong. It just means that for now, they don't align with what we know we are here to create in terms of this new paradigm. Like, we know that we're here to better take care of the planet because that's what the planet is asking of our generation. We know that we are here to teach our children to better thrive and to collaborate. And I had this conversation yesterday. Someone asked me, we talked about how millennials are so big on collaboration. And it's so true. You know, we don't want to do anything on our own. We want to share everything. We want to go together. It's just this divine intolerance on behalf of the earth. We want better standards. We want everything to feel better. We're not going to tolerate misalignment, crappy environment.
So how do you think in 20 years' time, if we look into the future, how do you think big multinationals will look like when we, the generation of millennials, have taken over for real?
I would hope that it would be a lot more life first, a lot more harmony with each other and the earth, definitely. Just these things that we are trying to make common practice. You know, like for me, it's like sustainability or bust. Companies that are not looking to make rapid improvements with sustainability, whether it's in terms of their packaging, products, methods, for me in 10 years, I feel like they will be voted out. Like, because the understanding and the care for our planet is becoming so commonplace. In my world, I know it's in your world, like divinity, like evolution is demanding that, so that we can take better care of our earth. So for me, it's like companies have no choice but to move to more sustainability because we care. And millennials are now soon to be in voting power. And we're just collectively, I feel, and I hope, not going to continuously circulate our money in the direction of companies who are, I suppose, going against the world we know we are here to create, the more thriving collective for our planet and our children. So I feel like we're moving towards a world of more collaboration, more connection, more thriving for each other. It means like we take responsibility for our own capacity to thrive so that we can better serve the world and those who really need us. I have no doubt that our generation or our children's generation is going to completely eradicate homelessness because these big world changes, they're not rocket science. Like, it's not rocket science to move to sustainable energy. It's not rocket science to eradicate homelessness. We have the resources.
Yeah, we have all the solutions.
Yeah, we have the human brilliance. We're not lacking money anywhere. It's not like it's all it requires is a recirculation of resources. And that will happen when we collectively care enough.
And how can we make people care? Because like you, I am an extremely impatient person, and I have worked within this field for the last, since I was a teenager, going to the Amazon, working for a reforestation and all that. And I have always been driven by this impatience. I mean, how can I make people change as fast as possible? And I've launched different organizations trying different angles. One was climate change policy, and then I launched Sustain that focused on telling an exciting vision about a sustainable future while focusing on the solutions. But what's your take on how we can make people realize that we can co-create a new and exciting future where we can thrive and where we can live sustainably? What's your take on that?
Yeah, so I think the first most important way we can do it is to remember that we're always voting with our dollar. And that our dollar is like where we circulate our money. We are always generating something with our money. So if we put $100,000 towards this company, we are telling that company, we want you to go and do more. Do it again, but better. That's essentially what we're saying when we buy anything. Do it again, but better. Do it again, but better. So where we circulate our money matters. Where we buy our clothes matters. We buy our food, we buy our clothes, everything matters. So firstly, money, where we're circulating money, we're telling companies either yes, you're doing it right, or perhaps no, you need to upgrade how you're doing things and then I will support you. So that's the most important. And that's a way that everyone can participate. No matter how much money we have to circulate, everyone can participate there. The second way is upgrading our vibration. It keeps coming back to that. But when we are pure examples of how we want the world to be, super in alignment with this, how we are supporting sustainable companies, how we are living in alignment with that message, how we are working towards living more sustainably ourselves. We all have work to do, but when we can be that example for people, that's always the most powerful way to inspire change. We can talk about it, we can preach it, we can write books about it, but essentially, it happens one by one. It happens by me turning my light on and getting into alignment with what I believe. You turning your light on and getting to alignment with what you believe. And that is what becomes the magnet for more people to do so and to live in alignment. Like I always say, our action is important, protests, creating companies, circulating money. But we can never forget that living in our alignment and being the example is such the missing piece. Like that's really where we most inspire, is when people look at us and they're like, that I want to be that aligned. I want to explore, what do I care about in the world? Like, how can I feel better? Like, for instance, like we're clearing out our whole house right now. And when I walk into my wardrobe now, it's 80% of stuff is gone, which feels great. But most of my clothes are like vintage or sustainable, like recycled water bottles, something like that. I'm not all the way there yet, but I'm getting there and I'm feeling more aligned every day with like these little decisions. And therefore my husband is now like making these changes. My mom, like just people around me. And then there's people around me who their alignment inspires me to get into more alignment. So that's a few different ways, but we can never discount that part of it.
And one thing you also touch upon in your amazing book that everyone should go read immediately, called Earth is Hiring: The New Way to Live, Lead, and Earn and Give, is your experience of being a typical high achiever who worked all the time. I've been the same. I have worked my ass off because I thought I have this important mission, and I've known that since I was a kid. And I have always been a bit stressed. I remember having my first kind of breakdown as a 10-year-old on my 10-year-old birthday because, time is running out and I want to do all of these things. So that means that I have just been working myself to the ground often. Yeah. And it wasn't until I sustained a severe brain injury 2.5 years ago that I really, really, really had to learn how to slow down, meditate, go within, go to nature, all those things. And I had to learn it the very hard way. And I know that that is something that you really a message you care deeply about sharing to your generation of leaders. Guys, we need to slow down. We are at our best when we slow down. Yeah. But I would love to hear your perspective. I mean, when you are excited about something and you want to badly make a difference, you want to put in a lot of hours, what are the benefits of slowing down in your opinion?
Yeah, so I'm exactly the same as you. I was like, I need to be the prime minister when I was 5. It's just like this responsibility, which is like the greatest strength and the greatest weakness.
Yeah.
I mean, I talk about it in my book. It's just stop missing the point. That's what I feel like. It's so great. And like, I want to honor that in you and in people like us, that we are so driven and we care so much. And that's something that needs to be honored and credit where credit is due. But for me, I was missing the point a lot of the time. I was going to work to do all these things to help people thrive more. But then often I was eating my food so fast I wouldn't even chew and taste it. Like, what's life if we're not tasting our food? My husband would run out the door to go to work and I would already be so caught up in my day that I wouldn't even look him in the eyes when I said goodbye. It's like, what's the point? All these ways I was just missing the point. So it's like, we got to come back to the fact that we've got to be thriving first, like noticing things, breathing, and then we can best serve the world. And that this servitude, which is taking us out of our thrivingness, I don't think that's a word, but when our servitude is taking us out of our highest and best, then is it really serving the world? And what I realized was I want to be present with my family. I want to be feeling creative and just happy and peaceful, because then I am better able to discern things like which project is best for me. I'm better able to create. I'm better able to say yes or no. I'm more energized to give my all to everything I decide to do. Like, for instance, this podcast interview with you. So we are serving the world more when we are taking responsibility for ourselves radically. My mum is a single mom of 4, and she's my hero. Like, she is my absolute hero. And she worked her ass off, full-time school teacher. And that was one of my goals in my early entrepreneur life, was to retire her. And we did, my brother and I, which was the best. But my mum, she was so selfless, so selfless. And I took her work ethic because I was like, I want that. I want how much she cares. And I talk about it with her, but I just wouldn't take. I was careful to be like, hey, Mum, I want to take all of your heart and your generosity and everything, but I want to, I suppose, not feel bad about taking extra care of myself. You know what I mean? Like, it's like I want to, I don't know, even know if I'm saying this right, but my mum, like, is my hero. She was so selfless, and she had to be. She was a single mum of 4. Slept on the couch often, just didn't really have much left over for herself after everything she gave to her work and us children. And sometimes I feel like, and my mum didn't see it this way, but a lot of the time people see it as this time macho, like they wear it as a badge, but I just work all the time. And we start to honor, like we start to worship that, like, oh, so-and-so is such a hard worker. So-and-so tries so hard. So-and-so works to the bone. And we like worship that. But how often do we worship or praise people who are like, no, you know what? I'm so inspired by that person because they have so much space in their lives and they are so present with their family and they turn their phone off at 5 p.m. So I feel like we're shifting into being more inspired by people who are so good at taking care of their well-being and so good at taking care of their boundaries. Whereas previously, a lot of the time it was like, I'm only worthy if I am a workaholic.
Yeah, exactly. And also this guilt associated with relaxing, in my case at least, that I was just raised by, you need to put in the hours and you need to in order to make something and to create something and make a difference. And relaxing my way to it or inserting breaks were not part of the story that I was told. That was not the way to get there. But what I'm struggling with, because you and I completely agree, because we have both experienced on our own bodies what it does to us when we do take those breaks. And I think both of us need to constantly remind ourselves that we have to take those breaks because we have this default drive of constantly working and being excited about what we do. But isn't it easy for us who we have both accomplished things and you have financial security? Isn't it easy for you to preach that you just have to relax? How can we communicate the importance of this to people who are yet to go out into the world?
Totally. And it's funny because people often say, well, you've built businesses that are taking care of you financially now. And I'm like, that doesn't, like, my drive overrides that every day. I'm not sitting on my ass, like just twiddling my thumbs. Like, I've got lists of things I want to create and do. And obviously being a mom as well, full time. But I think no matter what situation you're in, if you were like my mum, who's a single mum of 4, had to go to work as a school teacher every day, like, that's reality. And that's just so real, you know, and there's so many people out there who are like, you know, I've got to go to work every day. You know, it's just, I've got to do 12 hours to support my family and to put food on the table. Of course, a lot of people in that situation, and we know that. And again, this is a reach for some people, but it's what energy are you in? No matter what we're doing, what energy am I in? Am I in a light, playful, enjoying, grateful energy? Which, to be honest, again, some people are going to say this is a reach, but we can always choose that if we want to. Can I be in the energy of what a privilege it is to work, what a privilege it is to give, what a privilege it is to create, what a privilege it is to serve? Because that energy alone is more rewarding for our well-being. Regardless of what we're doing, we can choose to be in a more rewarding energy for our work. And then there's other little things we can do, like meditate for 2 minutes in the middle of the day, take better care of what we're eating, drink more water, get to bed a little bit earlier, shut our phones off. There's these little things which can give us more energy, give us better access to our life force, take better care of our well-being. There's some people who are like, well, you know, but I work all the time. You don't understand. I don't have time for this, but then scrolling Instagram 4 hours a day. So it's like, get really honest with yourself. Like, where are you kinking your life force that regardless of your situation, regardless of how much money you have, regardless of how many hours you're working, like, how can you choose to feel better right now, choose better feelings, choose better thoughts, choose to be in a different energy? Because then everything will start to change. Perhaps an opportunity will come where you'll create more freedom for your family. I don't know, but it all starts with our own vibration. It all starts with our own energy, because that is what's instructing the world around us. That's what's instructing life. And life is giving us evidence of the story we are telling about it. Life is giving us evidence of the energy we are in. So we have to, regardless of our circumstance, and I love that we're bringing this up because I so get it. I mean, I used to work at Subway. I worked jobs since I was 13 years old, like $5 an hour. I've worked since I was a kid. I watched my mom work. She had to. I so get it. It's not like just landed here and we're like, we get it. We get the real world. We get life. But what I have learned is regardless of anything, we have to take radical responsibility for our energy or nothing is ever going to change.
In your book, you write about the new definition of success 2.0. What is that?
People always ask me, what does success feel like to you? And I love that because to me, success is a feeling. Like you can't measure success for an individual because you don't know how that individual feels when they go to bed at night. You don't know how they're feeling in their relationships. You don't know how they're feeling when they wake up in the morning. And what's success if we're not feeling good? So for me, success is, does my soul give me a fist bump when I go to bed at night? Like, is my soul like, yes, like today was what we wanted it to be. Like you did what we wanted to do. And that doesn't mean you don't do anything you don't want to do. Like we all know, like as business owners, and we got to do stuff we don't want to do sometimes, but is it in alignment with our soul? Is it in alignment for me? Does it feel good to me in my heart and in my body?
But I think what you're talking about is something that many recognize. And I know a lot of young, accomplished leaders who are out there doing great things in the world. But when I talk to them, they admit that they don't really feel happy, that they're just rushing around, but they don't know how to slow down.
Yeah.
From the outside, I mean, they are in all the great magazines, they have all the great awards, but they just don't feel great inside. And I remember that from myself, that I could have accomplished an amazing thing, but I would still feel a bit empty or sad even. Is that what you're talking about there?
Yeah, exactly. It's like if you're asked to go speak on stage with X, Y, Z person and success out there is telling you that go and do it because growing your brand and exposure is the most important thing. And yet what's really meaningful to you is to stay home because you haven't seen your wife or husband or kids in a few days. Your success is that good feeling. And yet we often prioritize what we think is successful rather than the feeling of success. So sometimes it will feel most successful for us to get on the plane and go and do it. But sometimes it will feel most successful to us to stay home with our family because that's what our body and our heart and our life is most requiring for us. So it's about just getting clear on what makes me feel the most successful.
And rich.
Yeah, and full and rich.
Yeah.
And how can I own that regardless of other people's idea of success? Like other people might be all about growing the company at 1,000,000 miles an hour. Like some companies are so about scaling in numbers and everything. Other companies, perhaps their success is about, no, let's take a pause and scale in terms of our values and in terms of our alignment and in terms of making our teams all on the same page, in terms of making sure our goals feel good and that they're not goals that are taking us away from our vision. It's all that internal, like regardless of what the world is saying about success, what is in alignment with us, with me, my vision, my mission, my heart, my soul, my family, and honoring that even when the world is requesting and demanding and expecting and projecting their own ideas of success. And when we can take responsibility for that and move from there, we'll become successful out there as well. It's soul versus ego.
Exactly. And it really shows. And I'm a firm believer in the power and the true impact of the change you can make when you show up from a strong inner space where you are aligned with yourself and where you feel good and when you have taken good care of you is just so much more powerful than those people running around like crazy telling themselves a story that they will either miss out on important opportunities. They fear they become relevant. They fear they miss out. This whole scarcity mindset that I believe is driving a lot of the current leadership establishment. They are so scared of losing their position, so they continue put in the hours, put in the energy in a bad way.
I agree. And I think it's only until we hit a point in life, like burning out or getting sick or having a really wake up call argument with your partner, or maybe your kid says something to you. Like we each have to discover it our own way. I haven't always had this understanding of success. I had to have all these little hiccups and these feelings of misalignment. I had to work my ass to the bone. We had to go through all of our different understandings of success and feel out what felt good and what didn't. And sometimes, Laura, we have to actually hit external success, like the money and the followers and the fame. We have to hit that, like Jim Carrey says, to realize that, wow, okay, I've done it, but there's something missing. Like someone asked me yesterday, have you always had this understanding of success? And I was like, no, I used to sprint, but that was all perfect as well. It was all perfect. I love that phase of my life. I love that I worked my ass off. I loved, to be honest, I still do, just more balanced. I love that I had to learn what was in alignment and was misalignment for me. I love that I used to get on planes and go and speak at events that now I would be like, I can't do that. And that's what I want everybody to understand is it's all perfect. You're not wrong.
So do you think it's part of a process that we all have to go through?
Yeah. Like I said, you can't take someone else's idea of success. Like success is a feeling for you.
Yeah.
A different feeling for each of us. The only way we're going to know what success feels like to us is to just navigate our way and to be really honest with ourselves. Just a little story. I was asked to speak last year or the year before with John Maxwell. And, I love him. He's an amazing leadership coach. And so part of me was like, do it. Like imagine. But my soul was like, no, you promised yourself no traveling in September. Like that's what you need to just stay put for a month. Like that's what I most want. And so I went back and forth. It took me a week to say no via the email because I was going back and forth between like this success or that success. And eventually my soul was just like, Peter, I had to just ask like what would make me feel most whole and most peaceful and most calm. And although, it was like, damn it. Like when I finally said, you know what? No, I just need to stay put for September. I can't get on another plane. So again, it was just little things like that where it's like.
Did you regret not going?
No, absolutely not. Like I didn't, but I felt so good once I said no, like I was aligned. Like I was like, okay, what a great opportunity. And you know what? I almost just felt a little bit successful purely in having the invitation.
Yeah.
I can receive that and that's enough for me. And thank you for the invitation. I feel so good and just so grateful for it. But I feel so good that I protected my boundaries and that I'm staying. I think it was last year, the year before. It was the year before that I'm staying put and honoring that. And that, again, was just a lesson in success. And those opportunities to honor our success and to learn what makes us feel successful are always coming to us. And we're just learning. And am I always going to make decisions that honor my success? No. But when I don't, I'm, again, refining and becoming clearer and clearer and clearer and clearer. And that's all we can do. We're human, we're learning. We've got to honor ourselves. We've got to honor how much we are learning, refining the process, and just giving ourselves credit for how much we're willing to admit to ourselves, get honest, and let go of old, perhaps beliefs and stories that we held on to for so long that we don't want to hold on to anymore. Like we've really got to honor ourselves as how hard we're working on this stuff.
If someone is listening to what we've just talked about and recognize this feeling of dissatisfaction or feeling a bit empty or sad, even though they in the external are successful achievers, impressive people, what can they do to feel differently and slowly start having a new approach to success?
I think the first thing is to think about your life force and your sense of well-being and like feeling alive as like this hose running through your body from God, source, the universe, spirit, just flowing through your body. It's always there. And when we're not feeling in that flow and alive and clear, it's these kinks in our hose. And to just explore those kinks, like where am I kinking my hose? Perhaps where am I behaving too much out of obligation? Like where am I overcommitted? What in my life feels just a little like what in my life perhaps am I holding on to but I've evolved on from? Like where are the little kinks that are kinking my life force?
Can you give an example? What could a kink be?
Like for perhaps if you're like in a business relationship that you've totally evolved on from and it doesn't feel good or aligned in your life anymore, but you're holding on to it for obligation or guilt or the fact that you said you would, but it's like it's really draining your energy. Like what would happen if you unkinked that kink? And could you give yourself permission to be in greater commitment to your happiness, well-being, and inner success than you are to these obligation, overcommitment out there, And I think that's what we have to give ourselves permission to change our mind and to be in integrity with ourselves first and then go and explore our relationship, because we're so obsessed with commitment and integrity, which is great. Nobody likes a flaky individual, right? But Where are we more in integrity and commitment with people out there than we are with ourselves and what we require from ourselves? So I think that's like a basic way to just start exploring, like, what do I require? And ask these questions, like, what do I require? Like, if I were to feel spacious and relieved and excited, what would that look like in my life? And just start exploring those questions and just giving yourself permission to let it feel better for you. And that's going to take courage sometimes to end relationships and to tell people, no, I can't go there anymore. But alignment does take courage. It just does, because we're being pulled in a million directions all the time.
Yeah, I love that. Such a good advice. Last question. Cracks of Light is also about co-creating with all the leaders that come on the show and people who submit their ideas. Co-created leadership manifesto for the new way, the new paradigm. What are your 2 elements that you would like to include in such a manifesto?
Oh, I think taking radical responsibility for our vibration, our energy, and our alignment. And the fact that when we thrive, everything we touch thrives, and we can be of more service to those who are not thriving and things that are not thriving from our energy, that our life force on, our power on, our tap on. I take radical responsibility for my energy. I think that's first and foremost, so that I can be more like Mother Earth, for Mother Earth, and for humanity. I mean, and that includes playing, like being ridiculous. Like, I posted a video of myself like doing a mum dance yesterday.
Yeah, I saw that.
That took me closer to Mother Earth. And I think the second one might be around money, to be honest. I upgrade my relationship with money to feel in alignment, and I appreciate money as a teammate on my mission and in my purpose, so that I can circulate it in ways that are conscious and of more benefit for the earth and for all humans on the earth. So I think upgrading our relationship with money to one of appreciation, respect, and consciousness is a really important thing to add to the leadership manifesto.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Peter. Any final reflections you want to pass on that you don't feel you've communicated already?
No, I think everything's in my book. You know, you're reading it right. I mean, I'm just so grateful that you had me on this show, and I can't wait to connect with some of your business leaders, and maybe we can all do some fun stuff together.
Yes, let's do that.
Yeah, I'm feeling super cold to Scandinavia. So, you know, I've got a little bit, I've got Norwegian in me. So I'm like, yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Peter.
Thank you, Laura. And thanks for everything you're doing too. You're amazing.
Thank you. You are amazing. Thank you so much for listening to the Cracks of Light podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode, please help me make the Cracks of Light bigger and brighter in this world by sharing this with your network. Together, we can build a world where people, planet, and profit collectively thrive. And if you have input to the Cracks of Light Leadership Manifesto, please go to my website, www.laura-storm.com. I would love to hear from you. Take care.